Hey guys, I've got my monthly favorites for you today. We're going to be talking about my favorite beauty products from the month of March. I am very excited. I've got a lot of stuff as usual. As you guys know, I love playing around with makeup and I always go through quite a bit every single month. So I whittled this down as far as I could and I'm looking at the box in front of me and there are quite a few products in here. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into my favorites. As usual, I put as much of it on my face as I could, and I'll do a split screen of me applying any of the products that I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it for all of them because I have like a lot of eyeshadows this month and I only used a few. Let's get into it. Let's start from the tippy top. We're gonna start with primer, and I've been using the Armani Glow On Moisturizing Balm for sure, and that has appeared in my last 2 months favorites, but I'm starting to go back to my Chantecaille Ultra Sun Protection Primer with SPF 45. The sun here in Vegas is getting pretty strong. And for those of you that have been with me for quite some time, you guys know how much I like this primer. This has been with me for a long time. So for those of you who are not familiar with this product, it is a very interesting texture. It's very thin. When it goes on your skin, it really kind of smooths out your skin. So this is great even by itself. It gives your skin this kind of like nice filtered look. It's really pretty actually on its own, but I like it as a primer because it really just kind of smooths out my skin. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's like a pore filler or anything like that. It just has like a nice kind of like smoothing effect. It's very nice, and you don't need a lot. It really kind of like slips and slides on your face very easily. So you don't need a lot of this product, which is great. And the SPF 45, it's just great. Oh, the one downside, which actually doesn't bother me, but people have commented, so I want to share this, is the scent. So it has a pretty strong like SPF kind of scent. To me, it just kind of smells like SPF. It doesn't smell good, but it doesn't really bother me. But some people have been very turned off by it. I think I had a viewer comment that it smelled like pickles to them. So if you're very sensitive to any kind of scent, it's not fragranced, it's just a scent to this, then I would try and go in store and check this out before committing to a whole bottle. But this has been my primer of choice this past month, on top of the Armani Moisturizing Balm. So foundations, it's been Sisley. They've been killing it for me. So I just want to mention the Phyto Blanc cushion. I have it in shade number 3, light rose. I love this cushion. I think it is so beautiful on the skin. It gives your skin this like really kind of gorgeous kind of satin finish. It's just absolutely stunning. But I mentioned this last month, so I won't linger too long there. But what I'm wearing on my skin today and what I have finally purchased a full bottle of is the Sisley Le Tint foundation, and I have it in the shade 0R Vanilla. And it took me a while to find my right shade, but I think I have finally found it. Again, it's what I'm wearing on my skin today. And it's just a gorgeous foundation. It's so comfortable on the skin. I wore this like all day the other day. I don't usually wear makeup for that long. I'll put it on in the morning and then I'll usually wash it off like before dinner. So for me, like an 8-9 hour wear time is like plenty. But I had this on the other day because I just went out for dinner, just didn't have time to wash my face. And so I had this on probably for about 14 hours and it looked great. Like all day it looked great. I'm not one that touches up my makeup. So if my makeup starts to fade during the day, I just let it fade. I don't really care. But this stayed on my skin looking flawless all day. Maybe it kind of faded around my nose a little bit. That's about it. But everywhere else, it didn't break down. It didn't start to look funky around my forehead or around my mouth chin area, which is where foundations tend to start to look funky if I wear them for too long. But this is just amazing. I love the coverage. It's like a light medium, kind of leaning towards medium, very easily buildable to medium. The finish is really natural. It's skin-like, but there's like a little hint of radiance. It's just beautiful. It's a really impeccable foundation. So I don't know why it took me so long to try it, but I'm glad I finally did. And it is now a staple in my foundation collection. So for concealer and setting powder, nothing new here. The Armani Power Fabric Concealer. This was a favorite, I think, last month, maybe the month before. Absolutely love it. Again, it's what I have under my eyes today. I just love it. I love how weightless it is. I love the coverage. It's just, the texture is great and it just does a good job kind of like blurring my fine lines. It doesn't sink into them. It's long lasting. It's just beautiful and I've been continuing to use it. And the Kogen Do Natural Lighting Powder, I've talked about this one a lot this past month for some reason. I guess I did a bunch of like powder related videos, maybe. I think so. But I just love it. I continue to use this to set down my makeup, and it's great. I just love it. So nothing new there to report. So when the weather starts to get a little bit warmer, I kind of start to gravitate towards cream products. And so I've been playing around more with my cream highlighters. So this one is not new at all. This is the Décolleté Dip in Glow highlighter. I purchased this probably about a year ago, and I just love it. It comes in this great little container, and it's just this really kind of simple highlight. There isn't any kind of like shift to it. It's not overly glowy. I have it on this cheek today, and I actually applied it over my setting powder because I wanted you guys to see that it works over powder. All I do is kind of tap it on. I don't really like work it in. I just tap it on, and it works beautifully. It doesn't move anything underneath. It has a pretty like emollient kind of texture when you kind of like work it onto your finger. But once you start tapping it in, it really has kind of like a powdery kind of feel to it. And it really sets down to like almost a powder finish. It's not tacky at all. Like I don't feel like my hair is going to get stuck in it or that it's going to move around too much or anything like that. But it doesn't feel dry. It's not like one of those cream to powder formulas where it feels really powdery on the skin. It just has a really beautiful kind of like low maintenance finish and texture. It just kind of sets down. It looks great on the skin. It's not too like overly bright. It's just a really great kind of like everyday highlight, and I've been loving it. And this liquid highlighter, cream highlighter, is very new. So this is from Glossier Play, and this is called Night Shine, and I have it in the shade Pale Pearl, and I have that on this side of my face. So I also use this over my setting powder because I wanted you guys to see that you could do it. That's sort of my my test whenever I get like a cream highlight is it going to work over powder? Because I always forget to use my cream products before I set my face. I just go like automatically concealer and then set my face. And I'm like, I always forget to use cream products. So it's very important for me that a cream product can be used over powder, and this one can as well. I just make sure I don't go crazy like rubbing it in. I just tap it on, which is what I did with this. And I just love the sheen of this highlight. I think it's a little bit brighter than the Décolleté. There's a little bit more of like a metallic reflectiveness there, but again, it's not like too bright in your face. So I just think it's very pretty. It's very easy to wear. You can throw it on. I don't feel like my makeup is being dominated by like highlighter. It just looks really pretty. And this Pale Pearl shade is gorgeous. You know, it's like a little bit peach, a little bit champagne. It's like a little bit warm, but not too much. So it just looks really beautiful on my skin tone. And I know this bottle looks really small, but you need just the tiniest bit of this. So that's the Night Shine from Glossier Play. Love it. All right, as for bronzer, I feel like I've been bouncing around with a lot of different bronzers. Again, I feel like this happens every time the weather starts to turn warm. I start to want to amp up my bronzer a little bit. I kind of start playing around with them again. But the one that I reached for the most, or I feel like is my workhorse bronzer, the one that if I don't know what I'm going for, this is what I always reach for. And this has definitely appeared in favorites. This may have even appeared in my Best of Beauty 2018. But this is the Bobbi Brown bronzing powder in Stone Street. And it's a matte bronzer. And typically I like bronzers with a little bit of sheen. But the color of this bronzer is so good. It is just so neutral on my skin tone. Works great as a contour, works great as a bronzer. I can brush it lightly all over my face and I don't feel like I look very Oopa Loompa-ish. It just is great, and it's so easy to blend. It's pigmented, but it's not overly pigmented. I really don't like a bronzer where I have to be like terribly careful. So this has been my bronzer friend this past month. All right, so next up is blush. I have definitely been using my Chanel Golden Sun blush. I've also been using my Natasha Denona Bloom palette a lot, but I've mentioned those in previous favorites. Just wanted to mention that I have been reaching for those this past month. But the new blush that has come into my life that I've been using quite a bit is this Chanel Tweed blush in Tweed Beige. and I just love it. It's like the Golden Sun, but just a little peachier, just a little brighter. The Golden Sun is just a little bit more neutral than this one. So this has been great for the spring, you know, now that I want like a little bit more color on my face. Again, I have it on my cheeks today. And because it has a pretty decent and prominent neutral base, it just like flows and blends right into your bronzer like beautifully. And I just love that. I hate when I have that stripe look across my cheek, you know, between the bronzer, the blush, and the highlight. I love when it just melts together without having to like blend for days. And blushes like this with that like beautiful neutral base tone to them, oh, they just do such a good job blending into bronzers. So I've been loving this, and I have pretty much worked my way past the golden overspray, and this blush still has a really nice kind of satin sheen to it. So the gold definitely left of like a highlighty gold kind of sheen to this blush. That's gone now, and so you can kind of get a better sense of it. So pretty. I really love this, and this is limited edition. I'm thinking about getting a backup. I hate getting backup makeup, but I do love this that much. I don't know. Okay, anyway, moving on. All right, I have quite a few eye products to talk about. So I am wearing 2 of the new Clé de Peau cream shadows. So I purchased 309 and 308. Actually, let me show you the colors. So here is 308 and here is 309. So I pretty much have 309 all over the lid, and then I added this to the inner portion of my lid just to kind of brighten things up. But this 308 shade is so pretty. If you really want like a soft pearly finish to your lid, this is so beautiful on its own. Just add a little bit of liner, mascara, you have like a really pretty look. And this also is a great cream highlighter. I kind of ran out of room for this, but I have been using this as a cream highlighter, and it's wonderful. It has like a really warm kind of like vanilla creamy tone to it, and it's just beautiful. So that is 308. And then 309 is this really warm brown with that, do you see that kind of like copper metallic sheen in there? And so I have that basically on the outer corners of my eyes. And I have a little bit of powder shadow on top, which we'll talk about in just a second. But this is the base that I basically have down all over my eyes. And it's so pretty. This is another great like one shadow. It's really beautiful. I love the like subtle copper metallic effect that it has in there. It's subtle, but it's there. I just love it. They're really beautiful. The texture is great. They're not overly creamy, so I feel like they're not gonna crease or anything like that. At least they haven't on my eyelids. But they're not like transfer proof for sure. Like if I sat here and rubbed my finger over my eyelid, they would rub off. And then one last single shadow I want to mention. This is the Pierre de Rose single shadow from Chanel, and this is one of their ombre premieres. So this is this really, really cool toned pink color. It almost looks like a lavender lilac color. So what I think I love about this shadow is it's a really cool toned shadow when you first look at it. That really cool toned light pink lilac-y kind of shade. Looks very, very cool toned, looks very icy. But when you actually get it on the lids or when you swatch it, there's actually some golden, like metallic flecks in there. There's like a golden kind of sheen to it, which warms it up. So it becomes very kind of like iridescent in a really subtle way. I did not purchase this when I purchased this collection from Chanel. And this was a collab that I did with Jill Christ, and she actually purchased this. And when I saw her swatch it and put it on her lids, I was like, yes, I need to get that. It looked so, so pretty. Like so much prettier than it looks in the pot. So I'm glad I picked it up when I'm, not wanting like a neutral kind of look. I've been reaching for this. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I love it. All right, 2 eyeshadow palettes I want to mention. One, not going to be a surprise at all, the Natasha Denona Biba palette. This is probably going to show up in a lot of this month's favorites. But I have been using this very consistently. I want to say very, very consistently. Today is probably the first day I haven't just like reached for it and just started throwing some shadow on. But this is one of those rare palettes where I love every single shadow in here. I've used every single shadow in here. I don't feel like any shadow in here doesn't belong or subpar or just kind of sticks out or is like a sore thumb. I think they all work really, really beautifully together. And I've already done 2 videos on this palette, so I'm not going to linger too long. But just know that my love for this palette has not died. I just absolutely, absolutely can't live without this palette anymore. And I think a bunch of you have asked me to do like a ranking video where I rank all of my Natasha Denona palettes from least favorite to most favorite. And I need to do that. I would like to do that. But know that this is probably going to be number 1. This guy. So the second palette that I have been loving and using, and definitely using a lot more before the Biba palette came along, but I started using this one more and more. Gosh, it's actually kind of a mess. And just loving it more and more. And I feel this way about a lot of Viseart palettes. I always find them very beautiful when I open them and I use them and I think, oh, the color story is great, the formula is wonderful, the shadows blend nicely, all the right things. And I'll reach for them and I'll go for them. But to me, Viseart shadows are always so like workhorse kind of shadows. So so I don't know, maybe in my own mind, like if I'm just having fun with makeup, I never think of Viseart, but this palette has kind of like broken that spell for me. This is the 9-pan Liaison palette. And there's something just really, really special about this particular 9-pan palette because I have all of them and I love them all. And I think with this palette, what it is there's this wonderful balance between fun and everyday kind of natural looks. So this top row is like cool toned neutrals. And you can just focus on that top row and you can get a great like natural kind of everyday look. And then you've got these like intense metallic shades and then some dark mattes. This one can really kind of like change up the entire look. I just love the balance between like fun and natural in this palette. I love that it comes in 9 shades, but even though there's only 9 shades, I feel like I've gotten so many different looks from this palette. I just really, really enjoy this one. So that is the Viseart Liaison palette. All right, so lippies. Let me just start with what I'm wearing. So I am wearing one of the Femme de Poppy lipsticks and it is in Emperor's Nude and I have it actually paired with the Pat McGrath Supernatural lip liner. I did a whole review on these Femme de Poppy lipsticks. This is a new lipstick line started by Poppy King. She's the one that also created Lipstick Queen. She has since left that company. Lipstick Queen is still around. A lot of people have asked me. That is still around. I think she either sold her part of it or she sold the company off to someone, but Lipstick Queen still is around. She is just not involved with it anymore. So she started Femme de Poppy and I was so curious about these. I think on launch day, or I pre-ordered them actually so I could make sure I got them right away. I pre-ordered them off of Barneys.com and they're the exclusive retailers for this line at the moment. But what I find so interesting about this lip product is the formula. It's not super creamy, it's not super matte. It almost has like this cream to powder formula. So when you first apply this lipstick, you can actually feel the powderiness in them. And so when I first put it on, I thought, I don't know if this is going to be right for my dry lips, but it almost is like it doesn't make any sense to me because as I wear it or as it sits on my lips, the powderiness, I mean, it's still there, but it starts to feel more and more moisturizing as I have it on my lips. It is the most unique lipstick formula I have come across in a very, very long time. It is completely different from anything that is out on the market. And I think it is so special. I think it is so wonderful. I think if you are not a matte lipstick lover because of the feeling, not necessarily because of the look, but because of the feeling like I am, I don't mind the matte lipstick look. I just generally cannot wear that feeling on my lips. And you don't want something that is like super like overly pigmented, just a very kind of natural looking lip. You are gonna love these. And they are, for a matte lipstick, for any lipstick, even my cream lipsticks, they are one of the most comfortable lipsticks I've ever worn. I forget that I have this lipstick on. In fact, I wore this out the other day and went out to dinner with a friend and she was like, oh, I love your lipstick color. What are you wearing? And I was like, I don't have lipstick on. And then I thought, oh wait, I do have lipstick on, and it was this one. This is Emperor's Nude. So there's 3 colors. I'm gonna link to the video up here if I remember, or down below in my description box. They're just absolutely wonderful. The other color that I really love is Eve. So there's 3 colors, and I love the lightest and the darkest. What's new? So Eve is this shade right here, and there's actual like micro glitters in here. You can't feel them, but they just leave the most beautiful finish on your lips. This Emperor's Nude color I've been wearing a lot. It's just so easy to wear. You know, it's really, really easy to wear. It just looks like your lips, but better, but like truly like your lips, actual lips, but better. So I've also been loving the Charlotte Tilbury vinyl lips. So I have the color Dirty Dancer and Belle de Soie, and I just really, really like the texture. These actually remind me of the Tom Ford lip lacquers. I still love those, still been wearing those. These are very, very similar, and I like these colors. They're a little bit different from the ones that I purchased from Tom Ford, so I like that. And the only downside to these is they have a little bit of a chemically smell and taste, but it only lasts for like 5 seconds. It doesn't last, for me, it does not last any longer than that. Otherwise, I'm not a fan. As you guys know, I'm very sensitive to scents and tastes in my lip products. Yeah, the smell, it's weird. The smell kind of smells like sweet tarts, but then when you put them on, there's almost like a chemically flavor to them, and then it fades. It fades very, very quickly. And if it didn't fade quickly, these would have gone back to the store, but they faded very quickly, and I really, really like them. I love the finish of them. They're not overly shiny. They're not like glossy. They have like a vinyl finish. These colors are great. They're fairly long lasting. They don't dry down completely, so they're not transfer proof, but they do dry down a little bit, you know, more than a gloss. They definitely dry down a little bit, where I feel like I've eaten a meal with Dirty Dancer on, and most of it was still on. I didn't feel like I needed to touch up. So I really have been enjoying these vinyl lips from Charlotte Tilbury. All right, that is it for my March favorites. I have a feeling my April favorites are gonna be dominated by the Tom Ford Soleil collection. I didn't want to include them in this month's favorites, even though I've been using a lot of the pieces quite a bit, but it was just too soon. You know, I just received them, so I just felt like it was too soon, but I am enjoying them, if you are wondering. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Please let me know what some of your favorites have been for this past month down below in the comment section, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in my next video.